If the word sales makes you just want to shut your laptop right now and go binge watch the latest episodes of Bridgerton, I get it, girl. Especially if you have been taught the bro version of sales, which feels manipulative and pushy and downright gross. And the thing is, if you have only been subscribing or listening or learning that version of sales, you have probably gotten to the point in your business where you feel just like you suck at it. And so when you feel like you suck at sales, what happens, right? It's like you're going around in a crowded room just whispering about your business. And when we whisper about our business, no one can hear the magic that you have to offer because sales is a skill. This is honestly what I can tell you to be 100% true after being a powerhouse salesperson across 4 different industries and helping hundreds of women achieve their business and sales goals, is that sales is a skill. And the way you were taught about it does not feel feminine or embodied or true to you. And so that is why you've avoided it like the plague. I'm going to break down exactly why this has been happening and what you can do about it. So let's get into it. You avoiding sales is honestly costing you everything. And I don't mean just money. But to me, and the way I talk about sales in the Beam Life is that sales is freedom. Sales is sovereignty. Sales is the way and the path to which you get to live your best life, whatever that means and looks like for you. Because without sales, we are then obligated to stay in relationships maybe that we don't want to be in, stay in jobs that don't feel aligned for us. It's staying stuck. And when you learn sales, you will honestly upgrade every life skill that you have. So I want to share with you a couple of reasons why sales might feel icky to start with. Because in order to get where we want to go, we have to understand where we're coming from. Okay, the first thing is sales was built for men, by men. It was aggression and, making deals and, being in the locker room together. That's where the deals were done. All right. And women never stood a chance. And so then when women started being more of the workforce, we were taught these sales skills by experts who were all men. And I'm sorry, but the way men sell makes me want to vomit. It is not meant for the kind of businesses that we have and the way we want to feel in our body and the lives we want to create. So remember that. If you have been watching people like Grant Cardone, for example, there's a reason you still feel adverse to sales. One of the things I can't stand, this is another reason why you might feel bad at sales. Again, it's very masculine driven, but there's like this motto that's like, always be closing. I have no idea who said that. It's probably Grant Cardone. Don't mean to slam the guy so much in this episode, but truly, he is doing a disservice so much to women because this mentality of always be closing, I don't know about you, it just doesn't feel right in my body. And it's not because I don't want to close sales. In fact, I have close to an 85 to 90% close rate in my personal coaching business, which is unheard of in the industry. Standards are usually around like 20%, and that is considered very high. But what I mean is sales were created by these men, these entities, to be very formulaic. Like, here's your script, and here's how to formulate a perfect sales call, and here's how you handle objections. And I cover all of those things because those are very real parts of the sales conversations. However, if you've ever had a conversation with an actual human being, you know that nothing can be predicted. You don't exactly know what the other person that's showing up in front of you is coming to the call with. And oftentimes in the businesses that we lead as women, especially the women that I coach, we're leading very heart-centered, soul-driven businesses. And so we are going to attract clients who are heart-centered and soul-driven. And they're probably coming to your call with a lot of baggage and a lot of things to unpack. And so if you're so busy being stuck on a script and unable to listen to what the person is saying in front of you, and then you don't understand why at the end of the call, the person's like, nah, I'm not sure this is a good fit for me, or you know what, this feels a little bit like expensive. There's a reason, okay? Like these formulaic things just don't work. The last reason why sales are probably feeling a little bit icky or, like I said, cringe for you, you probably can't answer what problem you're effectively solving. And if you can't answer that, then it's certainly not coming across in your messaging. And if it's not coming across in that, then it's definitely not coming across to the person that you're talking to. And that's why you're not hitting your income goals, okay? It's not your offer. And that's the beauty of being in a coaching container to talk about what is the next best step for me based on, the data that we have. Because when you're constantly changing your positioning, your offer, your niche, your pricing, you're not able to collect data. And data, as sciencey as that sounds, is how we can really make educated decisions about our businesses. So what are sales actually? When you understand sales, everything gets better, from your boundaries to your relationships to your self-care, because knowing how to confidently show up and talk about something that you love and then state a price for it, that elevates your entire being, your entire aura, the way you show up in rooms, the way you show up to your, PTA meetings, the way you show up to your doctor's appointments, the way you show up to brunch with friends, the way you show up in your partnership, right? These are all things that are impacted when you start becoming more confident to talk about your business. So when I tell you that sales is not just a important part of your business, but it's actually the most important part of your business, that is why. It is going to be a game changer for you. The other thing that sales is listening. As women, we are incredible listeners. I don't know. Maybe you have to ask my partner. Sometimes, literally last night, I got asked, are you listening to me? But besides that, in general, I would say women are incredible listeners, and we genuinely want to help, right? We want to be able to solve the problem. And that's really what sales is. You're doing this all the time naturally in your, conversations with your kids, with your friends, with your partner, with coworkers, with peers, right? You're always listening. So if you can reframe your sales conversations to just be like, okay, I'm showing up to be a listener and to really hear what this person is saying, that's going to change so much for you. Because I know that, again, going back to bro marketing tactics, a lot of times you can feel like you need to convince someone. I want to just get that out of your head. Sales is not about convincing at all. We shouldn't have to feel like I need to sit there and tell you why you need to choose me. What my job is to listen to what you're saying and present to you why I am the best person to solve this problem, and that there's no one else that's going to solve it the way I do. And when you can show up in that energy because you've listened so well, and what you're hearing is, it's not that someone can't afford you, it's that they haven't heard from you how you're actually going to solve their problem, and they don't see the reason to invest. Because here's the thing, people spend money all day, every day. And there'll be times when they're like, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. I can't afford it. And then this thing comes in front of them and they probably still can't afford it, but they choose to buy it anyway. And they purchase it because they saw the value. So when you reframe, okay, my job is not to convince, my job is to show you the value. You should absolutely be able to do that if you own a business, because that's where it starts, right? Is you should know the value you bring to the table. And the last thing that sales is sacred. Sales are the way to which you get to have more time with your family. Sales is the way that you get to go on these vacations that you've always dreamed of. Sales are the way that you get to upgrade your home or get into your dream home or buy your car or put your kids in private school. Sales are the way that you can, see the best doctors and care teams. Sales are the way that you can help take care of your parents. Sales are the way that you can retire your spouse. Sales are sacred. And I'm sorry. I am so sorry that you have been taught to think that sales have to be this aggressive and pushy and gross experience, because it is so not that. Let me tell you about a time early on in my styling career when I was still in college and I was dressing NBA, NFL, celebrity men clientele. This was the early 2000s. And I was selling suits, which even now, this is an investment. But in the early 2000s, spending 5, 10, 15, 20,000 per suit was a lot of money, And being a college student who could never dream about dropping $10,000 on a suit or an outfit, this felt like a stretch. So at the time, I was making, a base of $250. And anything I sold on top of that, I would get a commission from. Okay, so obviously you can't really do a whole lot on $250 a month, even in the early 2000s, living in New York City. And so I was incentivized to sell. And I really sucked at it when I first started, because what I found myself doing in these appointments when I would go meet these, clients, is I found myself selling from the perspective of a college student making $250 a month, not as a celebrity or professional athlete who had disposable income. And the thing that really stood out to me that I have remembered in my career to this day is the head of our sales at the time. He gave a sales tutorial, if you will, a workshop. And what he broke down, especially for me, because I was like, I'm really having a hard time figuring out how to sell more than one suit to these guys. And so, he helped me on my understanding of the value and pitching and all of that stuff. But what he really explained to me is that I'm not in charge of their wallet. And if I keep going into conversations thinking and trying to buy with my wallet, I'm not going to do very well, because I'm only going to be selling what I would want to afford, not what I felt was realistic. And he's like, here's the thing. When you're selling a high-end service like this, you're creating an experience. You are giving something to someone that they have dreamed of their entire life. You are helping them create an identity through their presentation, through their clothes. And this is probably what they've been dreaming of since they were a kid. And how they look is part of their job, part of their business. And you're robbing them of making those decisions when you limit them. And I was like, that is an interesting way to put it. And he goes, listen, if they can't afford it, they're going to tell you. Or if they say they're going to tell you that they only want 5 suits, 4 suits, whatever it is. And your job is to hear what it is that they're wanting to use these suits for and create an experience for them and really understand how to solve that problem. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about solving problems when you're selling suits. That feels kind of crazy. And, as the years went on, I had become a top salesperson several times in the company for the months. And not only that, but I helped, hundreds of clients really establish an identity and feel like their best selves through the avenue of clothing. And I learned so much from being able to embrace that mentality of, listen, my job is not to know if you can afford it or not. My job is to tell you how I can solve your problem. So I hope that story kind of offers you a perspective, because I know as women, one of the greatest things that we fear is feeling like, oh my gosh, what if we're too expensive? What if they can't afford my offer? And remember that that's not your job. Okay? We really need to just figure out, can we solve their problem, and can we do it in the best, most integrity way possible? And if the answer is yes, the chances of them choosing you are extremely likely. And I know what your brain is thinking. You're thinking, okay, Caitlin, but you're an extrovert. You love to, wear bold things and claim the room. I'm a little bit introverted and I am nervous. Great. Introverts are the best listeners, okay? You probably would crush it at sales. I also hear you thinking, oh my gosh, but I don't want to be pushy or manipulative. Also, good, because that's not the kind of sales that we do here at the Beam Life. If you have watched the earlier things that I said in this episode or episodes that I've had before this, the way I teach sales is very embodied, which is the complete opposite of pushy or manipulative. And I know you're also probably thinking, okay, but what if I do all this and they still say no? That's exactly what we learn to fix. This is exactly what I'm breaking down in my free training, Sales That Stay, coming up on March 24th, where I am helping you learn the skill of sales to create consistent 5, 8, 10, 12, 15K months in your business without the rejection spirals, without the chaotic pivots, without feeling like you have to be performative and be a people pleaser or pushy or fearful or whatever the thing is that you feel around sales. Be gone. Be gone. Because you are allowed to be an embodied earner and show up and create these beautiful opportunities and experiences for these clients that so badly need you. And I want to teach you how to do that. So I hope that you will join us. It's free to attend. The link is down below, and we're going to have a really, really good time and make more money doing it. Here's what I hope that you walked away with in today's episode. I hope that you understand that you are not bad at sales. In fact, if you're listening to this and you've gotten this far, I know you're not bad at sales. I know that you actually deeply, deeply care, and that is exactly what makes you good at sales. You're a great listener. You are someone that wants to help someone, and all you need to do is take those skills and share it outwardly and listen to what this person is saying and be able to say, hey, I'm so glad you're here. This is exactly what I do. And this is what we're going to do together. And when we present it so relaxed, so embodied, so understood, that's when the real magic happens. And all of a sudden, this business that has felt like such a struggle starts to feel fun again. And businesses should feel fun. Again, I hope that you join us for Sales That Stay on March 24th, where I'm going to be breaking all of this down in even more detail. I'll see you there.